Oh, this is exciting. Hey, Trey in Colorado, Laura and Travis, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your special night with us. We can have a fun happy hour together. Hi, Jen. I'm happy that I didn't get a response initially, so I'm glad that everyone can join tonight. Maybe like 1 or 2 more minutes. I know that a couple more people are planning to come on. Oh, hey, JC. Oh, nice background.
Hello.
Hi.
I didn't realize we were supposed to respond and say we were going to attend. So.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't hear from one person. So you and everybody else didn't know. And I didn't say to RSVP or anything, but I just kind of had a panic moment yesterday where I thought, well, if nobody comes, then that's too bad.
A Zoom party with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Shochu cocktails with myself, not too bad. With Yoko and Ian.
That's right.
Okay, well, yeah, we can at least get started. I have some news. Happy New Year, everyone. Yay. It's a brand new era. So much to celebrate. Curbside kit pickup continues for Oakland and Bay Area residents. We closed for in-store browsing for now, just because of our limited staff and the way that the pandemic is going. We just am limiting it to curbside pickup. You can order online. As usual, please choose Shochu. Please also always do Shochu Gumi 10 for your 10% off discount for Shochus and Shochu glassware. What else? We have a Heiwa Brewery event next Wednesday, and you all should have gotten an email about that. You're all members. Please join us. And that is a live brewery tour with Heiwa Brewery in Wakayama Prefecture in Japan. So that's really exciting. It's a part of a sake gumi that Yoko put together. It is a level 2 bottle. There's a Heiwa Shuzo pack that'll go with the tasting, and that is 2 bottles from the brewery, the Shiboritate Junmai Ginjo and the Nigori. Trey, you're in Colorado. It could probably still get to you if you wanted to order that. Otherwise, it is available for in-store pickup. And that's it for news. I think, wow, hi, Patty.
Hello.
I think we're, and Keisuke's here, Brooke's here. This is exciting. Wow, so many people. Thank you for joining today. And I just wanted to do a very casual happy hour with you all since we didn't do it last month. We had a very successful holiday season. So thank you for your support. And Yoko and I and Ian and I are happy that that's over, and we can head into the new year and see what 2021 brings us. Let's start with the Akarui no song, and that's the sweet potato shochu. I don't know. I heard from many people that, hi Rana. I heard from many people that you're almost out or you're out of the shochus, which makes me actually very happy that you're actually drinking the shochus, you're enjoying them. And, I've just put together a little presentation. Yoko, do you think that you can make me the... Okay, yeah, Yoko, why don't you can go ahead and start the presentation then. we just, sorry, technical difficulties, and Yoko will, actually, we were supposed to start the presentation a long time ago, but I'm not following anything here. There it is. So feel free to, sip on your sakes while we talk. I'm first going to talk about the Akarui no Son, the emo shochu, and then we're going to talk about the second shochu, the Kogin no Sasayaki, the barley shochu. And then I'm going to go downstairs to go behind the bar and just make some cocktails, and we can all kind of drink cocktails. So the Akarui no Son is translated, it translates to bright farmland. It is a distillery that was established in 1911. Next slide, please. In Kirishima, Kagoshima. And that's sort of all the way down in Kyushu. In the south, of course, it is in Kagoshima Prefecture. Next slide, please. And that's where it is in Kyushu. So it is quite rural, and it's just beautiful from the photos that I've seen. Next slide, please. This area is known for the sweet potato shochu production. Kirishima is an area, it's the #1 shochu. I'm not sure if it's the #1 emo shochu or the #1 shochu in general, which is Kuro Kirishima. And that's a little stout black bottle that we also sell. It's also sweet potato shochu, very popular. This also comes from the region. And so these are some photos of the landscape there. This is the distillery, very beautiful. I would say it's sort of medium production, this distillery. And they use mineral-rich natural groundwater from the Kirishima mountain range. And they cultivate their own sweet potatoes, rice, wheat, and even blueberries. And so the next slide will just be photos from the distillery. And actually, yeah, and oh wait, what happened there? Yeah, okay, the blueberry harvesting, which is awesome, I think. And they even have a blueberry liqueur that they make with this blueberries, which I thought was awesome. And I would definitely want to try that at some point. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really know that there was a lot of blueberries in Japan. So that's great. That's news, and great to know that they cultivate that down in Kyushu. I wanted to talk about the potatoes a little bit, the Kogane Sengan sweet potatoes. And so this is a very popular, the most popular varietal of sweet potatoes in Japan for both shochu and for eating. It was originated in Kyushu, and it was cultivated in the mid 60s. It was probably a breed of, a couple different kinds of sweet potatoes. It is high yielding with high levels of starch and sugar, and it ripens early. However, it also is rots easily. And so I think that, there was, before the shochu boom in the last 10 or 20 years in Japan, shochu was not very popular because they were not using high quality ingredients, and they were actually using rotting potatoes to make shochu. So some, like my mom used to hate potatoes, and she thought it was disgusting. Or hate shochu because, she this idea of like dank, gross, rot smelling shochu. And I think that the sweet potatoes were not good quality at all. So since then, they've, really recreated the entire model for honkaku shochu using high quality ingredients, and they really go through every single potato to make sure that there's no rot. But yeah, when I read that it was these potatoes are susceptible to rot, I kind of thought of that. And so yeah, they don't store well, is what I'm also reading. A couple of like fragrance notes for these potatoes are chestnuts, and just kind of like a nutty, really like caramel like that is indicative of the Kogane Sengan sweet potato. Pumpkin, like a ripened kabocha maybe. Also citrus. And I'm not sure if you get any of that in this shochu, but please, I hope you're sipping along here. In 2020, last year, the Kogane Sengan harvest was severely impacted by the flooding and the storms. So they're always, the Kagoshima area, there are a lot of storms. It is quite tropical there. So I know that I did hear that these potatoes took a hit. And then in the next slide, I hope that there's enough, we can watch it, but I found this cool little video on the Akaru Inosan website, and it's only like 1 minute long, and I thought that it was, and we can all kind of taste the shochu, but you can kind of watch the production of the potatoes and the harvesting of the potatoes. But maybe it's too slow, and we can just skip over all of this and I'll send it to you later. Oh yeah, look at. Yeah, no, it's too glitchy, huh? It's a cool video. I'll send it to you later. Okay. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And then, yeah, I just wanted to taste with you. What do you smell and taste? This is the sake and shochu tasting wheel. I'm getting like berries. Are you getting that? Just smell.
Berries, you said?
Yeah. Like ripe strawberries or something? What are you all getting?
I was getting banana earlier.
Banana.
It is fruity for sure.
Definitely a deep tropical thing going on.
Yeah, like ripe
Get some
mango.
melon too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But like grapes too, right? Like muscat grapes, like those really big ones. I don't know if you've ever had them in Japan, like the really big Kyoho grapes. Overall, did y'all like this one over the other one, or?
It was one of my all-time favorites, so I'm a little biased, I guess.
I like this one.
I really like the Akarui. I haven't had the other one yet, but I finished the Akarui, so I think I enjoyed it.
Mm.
They're both very different. It's hard to say one versus the other. But compared to
They
other,
are very different. You're right. You're right.
but compared to other emo shochu, this one definitely seemed like I definitely pick up on that citrus or the fruity. If it is strawberry, it's definitely overripe strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also be the label too. The label is so colorful that I immediately think of fruit when I'm drinking it, so it could be that as well. But nose wise, it's definitely a bit. It's less earthy than some of the other emo shochus that I've had.
Yeah, that's very true. It is, more fruity than earthy, like a usual emo shochu.
So
But
it's like Tuesday night, as opposed to
Tuesday.
the Saturday gangbuster.
Right.
It's like easy drinking.
Mhm.
Now I want to do like a mugi shochu that has like a cartoon label or something, like, because I feel like they're always very dour. Just like a really poppy, fun mugi.
Yeah, it's true. The next one is quite dour too. But very nice. Okay, so we can go on to the Kogin no Sasayaki. This one is quite a serious shochu, actually. There's a lot going on here. Kogin no Sasayaki, translating to aroma whisper. It is a distillery that was established in 1911 down in Oita-ken. So I don't know if you remember about, maybe it was last June that I did the barley spotlight, and that was also shochu from Oita. And they're really well known to make very soft and easy to drink shochus, barley shochus. And it's where Ichigo distillery is, and they're just sort of the biggest barley shochu brand in Japan for sure, and I'm sure you've seen it here as well. This brewery is also a sake brewery, and very small. Next slide, please. Just all the way down, you'll see north of Kagoshima where the Akarui Noson was. Next slide, please. And also very rural as well. And they're really well known for, there's this river there, and it's called Bansho River. And that's where they get their water. And it's, next slide, please. And they also grow the barley very close by. Everything is sort of cultivated around in this area of Oita. That's a photo of the distillery. Next slide, please. And then this was photos. It was very hard to find photos from this distillery. I kind of went down a rabbit hole today looking for them. This one on the left is their Koji Steamer. And the shochu is special because they're using barley to inoculate the koji. So it's 100% barley shochu. No rice is used for the shochu, which is usually the case for shochu. Which is usually the case for shochu because they need to inoculate the koji on rice. But the technology is where it's at a place where they can inoculate it directly onto the barley. So that's the Koji Steamer for the barley on the left, and then the still on the right. And then next still, please. A little bit about the way that, before I talk about the barley, actually, I do want to talk about the method that this is made in, and this is why I say it's quite a serious drink. It's made in the ginzukuri method, which is gin, like the coal gin. The gin part is ginjo, so it's a nod to sake, and it's the ginzukuri method is the ginjo sake method, which is slow fermentation at low temperature for a longer period of time. So they're kind of looking to sake for how they produce the shochu. And I asked Christopher Pellegrini, who was on our Zoom call last time, he's the shochu professor that lives in Tokyo, if it's common practice for shochu makers to make it in this ginjo method. And he says that it's easier to use something like the ginzukuri method in northern Kyushu, like Saga, Fukuoka, and Oita, since the winters get really cold there, and the rest of Kyushu and Okinawa. in that sense, yes, it's probably a lot more barley and rice shochu than anything else for the ginzukuri method. That said, it is not a fermentation technique that you often hear about in shochu and awamori. So I think it is more experimentational that the shochu would use this production method, and you know, I think it really shows up in the shochu actually, because it's quite a refined shochu. This nishiboshi barley is newly cultivated barley specific to shochu. So it's sort of like Yamada Nishiki rice in the barley world. It's shochu, it's barley for shochu. In this shochu particularly, they have milled the shochu, they've milled the barley down to 50%. So again, kind of taking these ideas from the sake making world, like milling, and you know, instead of rice, they're milling down the barley to 50%. And you know, the idea being that like rice and sake, you know, it's going to get down to the starchy core. The more that you mill it, you're getting rid of the fats around it. So you're going to get a less kind of earthy product in the end. And, you know, and I think that, again, like, I think that if you smell the shochu and you drink it, it's very delicate and quite floral. I think actually both of these shochus are floral. And this is a little bit higher in ABV too, so it actually tastes more robust. But it's I think it's quite pretty on the 4 palette. And then next slide, please. Okay, and that's more of the grain once it's been milled down. It's quite pretty, and it looks like rice. Okay, keep going, please. And then adapting to COVID times, because of COVID, they started producing this high proof alcohol for their, I mean, I don't think that they produced it, was probably already there for sanitation. And I think a lot of sake breweries started to do this, and I think that they got a tax break in Japan in order, and also, you know, they weren't selling any product. They weren't able to sell sakes and shochus like they normally would, because all the restaurants were shut down and whatnot, and that continues to be the case. And so a lot of the sake breweries, you know, started to make, you know, alcohol for sanitation, and I think a lot of companies here started to do that as well. But next slide, please. And so anyway, that's one of the bottles, and then that's the president on the right. He's quite a young person, and he is the president and CEO, Takayuki. I don't know if this is the last name, because the kanji, I couldn't quite read it, but Karyu is possibly the last name, but he is at least he's the head brewer of the sake side. I'm assuming he's also runs the shochu side, but I couldn't quite get the info for that. But yeah, there you go. Kogin no sasayaki. And then let's taste it.
Definitely have some of the bubble gum that you get with a daiginjo or a ginjo. Is that? I remember one time we were talking, and it was the white koji that they use, or a yellow koji. It was a specific koji, right?
Yeah,
is that still the
ginjo
case?
koji is yellow, and I thought that would be the case for this too. But this one, they're just using a mugi koji, which is the barley koji. So actually, they didn't even tell me if it's not even black or white or yellow. Mugi, and So which means that they're just inoculating the koji onto the mugi. I'm not quite sure, and I did ask repeatedly about what this was all about, but I didn't get an answer. But I will ask again. But it is not the yellow koji from the ginjo.
I feel like the way that it's milled so much where it ends up looking like rice. I definitely like, before I drank it, made the association with sake, and then it has much more of a sake mouthfeel and kind of like vibe than a lot of the mugis I've had. I typically think of mugis as kind of like intense, and this is way more polite. I don't know. It's a very relaxing feeling.
Right.
It made me
Yeah,
think-
and I did get some answers about how the president wants us to drink it. It was sort of the textbook pairings for sake. It was kind of like sake, sashimi, and tempura, and drink it cold. I think it's great warm. I think it was really good with some hot water. And so you should definitely try that as well. But it was, I think that the way that they want you to drink it is to kind of think about it more like sake. And Ian actually says that he thinks it's white koji. So I thought that I don't know if I was wrong to say that it was mugi koji. Ian, did you get that somewhere?
Ian.
Ian?
Oh, you typed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
This is
I
the
did
Oi
type it,
tradition.
but-
Mugi koji implies that it's
Sign
inoculated
language.
to the mugi. Oh, okay.
So usually, sometimes you'll see in like on shochu labels, you'll see like imo and like kome koji, and it doesn't always specify whether the color of koji it is. I believe that this oita shochu is white koji, and then the mugi koji just means that it's that's why I think on the label it'll just say like distilled from 100% barley, and so it's not like all of the barley is inoculated with koji, but a small percent of it is. Whereas some mugi shochu like Iki shochu is like from Iki Island, that's going to be barley with rice koji.
Right. But yeah, and maybe it doesn't have to have a color, because in Iki Shochu as well, they just say it needs to be rice, malted with rice koji, but they don't talk about like the color, right?
Cool.
I think it tastes pretty caramelly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
It
kinda
has no scent. It doesn't smell like
lingers.
anything.
Yeah.
No scent.
No scent.
It's made me think of torikai a couple times.
Okay. Yeah.
Strong finish.
Yeah. It kind of just stays there.
I get a lot of spice with this shochu, like on the finish. Like it's very clean initially, like a lot of that ginjo stuff, like it's very soft, and then like it finishes. I think it's probably the high alcohol too, but I think that kind of captures a little bit of the toastiness for the mugi, and I get like cinnamon and actually just like a lot of cinnamon actually with this shochu.
What is it, like 28?
Yeah, 28%.
Oh wow.
Pretty high.
Yeah, it's not that high. I want more shochus that are higher than that, but it's good for the martini, and we'll make that next. But before we do that, Devin, you said torikai, which is interesting because I think that they're using ginjo sake rice for the torikai shochu, which is why that shochu is exorbitantly expensive. But that shochu is also kind of going in that ginjo direction as well. So lots of ginjo references, and in the shochu world as well, trying to emulate kind of like a more refined shochu.
Kyoko.
Which I don't know. What do you think? Do y'all think that this is more refined? Hey, Rana.
Hi. Just because you're talking about sake breweries, that are combined with shochu distilleries.
Mhm.
What is it more common just to have one-offs, or that combination is there's something unique about that of a brewer having both?
No, it's not unique. However, usually it's the sake.
Sake came first?
They'll be making rice shochu. Yeah, but I don't know. That's not really true either. But I will say Kyushu is known for shochu, so there's more one-offs of the shochu distilleries, and then it's less common for them to also make sake because it's so much more expensive to produce sake. I mean, rice in Kyushu, but there certainly are big sake shochu breweries like Kitaya, which makes a lot of the shochus that you like, as well as a lot of the sakes. I don't know, Yoko, what do you think? Do you find that there's a lot of kind of both sake shochu combos?
Yeah, I think, oh, can you mute? Thanks. Oh, thanks. I think that what you were saying about rice shochu makers, you'll see a lot of them making sake just because that's the base of the rice shochu. So we see that a lot in the Kuma area. You have the shochu distillers who are also sake brewery. So, and just in general, like what Kayoko was saying, most of the shochu distilleries are in Kyushu. There's some, like, I think we went to a sake brewery / shochu distillery in Niigata, but there's these northern regions just aren't making that much shochu. So you're going to see more of the rice shochu producers making sake as well, but way more sake breweries that are just sake breweries and not sake breweries / shochu distilleries.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of craftsmanship in sake. And it's a different, kind of learning curve from shochu making. There's also a lot of competition between sake and shochu. Shochu has just gotten so popular in Japan. And, I think that has something to do with the taxes as well, where they're not taxing as high for shochu than sake. Or at least that's probably what led to the popularity of shochu. And so now, you see sake breweries kind of, the decline of people drinking sake and the incline of people drinking shochu. And actually, in Japan, there's actually sort of a decline of people drinking alcohol in general. So, maybe the whole industry is suffering, but yeah, we certainly have seen a lot of combo sake breweries and distilleries. And in fact, when, most of the it's a little bit confusing too, because most of the distilleries in Kyushu, the shochu distilleries, they call themselves breweries. And so, you kind of just already assume that they're brewing. And it actually might be more common for sake breweries to make beer. So we've probably seen more of that in Japan, where there's the combination of, like Hitachino beer was actually a sake brewery. Most of the sakes, the beers that we have on the shelves are also beer brewers. And so there's a little bit more, likeness there than having to, purchase an entire new still and whatnot.
Are there any, like, for lack of a better word, like appellations or, like regional elements to it? Is that one of the reasons why there's so much shochu made in Kyushu? Sort of, especially like how, obviously not just with wine, but with, whiskey, there's specific designations of where it can and cannot be made for it to be labeled as such. Does that play a role into what they can and cannot make?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely the biggest appellations in shochu would be awamori. I believe that's an appellation, and so that's Okinawa, and has to be made with black koji. Kokuto shochu has to be made in, why am I blanking on this? That one island. Kokuto.
Amami.
Amami,
Yeah.
yes, Amami Island, made with black cane sugar and bottled on that island. Iki shochu, which is a barley shochu that Ian mentioned earlier, and that has to be made and bottled on Iki Island off of Nagasaki in Kyushu, and that has to also use rice koji. And I know that there's a Satsuma Shochu Association, which is the sweet potato made in Kagoshima, but I don't think that that's an appellation yet. I think that they might be trying to make it an appellation, but I think historically, Kyushu could not. Oh, Kumajochu. Kumajochu is another appellation, and that's rice shochu made around Kumamoto. And we had one of those bottles last year, actually, a Kuma shochu. And Torikai is another shochu that Devin just mentioned, which is a rice shochu made in that area as well. And that has to be made with rice cultivated from that area. And the reason, I think the biggest reason, I mean, shochu was really kind of more the working class drink. And, it still is, but I think it was just lower cost to make and to distribute. And because it's made with just anything can be distilled, right? They're using barley, they're using sweet potatoes, less rice, because rice was so expensive to harvest, and it was very hard to do that in Kyushu in their weather conditions. And so I think that it's sake kind of is, even today, I think is more the more expensive drink. The drink that is used for more celebratory special occasions, and shochu is kind of more everyday. And I think that, and I think that the ease of cultivating the rice was kind of more for the north, and then the shochu was just the drink for the south. Okinawa's right there, and they say that the trade routes from Thailand and Korea went up to Japan, and that's where they first started to learn about distillation. So that the history of distillation came up from the south. And I'm not really sure about the history of how sake came to be in the north, but I think it has something to do with the distilling. Sake is like 1,000 years old, and then shochu is like 500 years old. So definitely the fermenting and the brewing of sake came first, and then they learned how to distill it in the south.
Right.
So I do think that there's like a lot of cultural and historical reasons for why there's so many more distilleries in the south.
Sounds also geographical too, which is as opposed to like if I just moved to I don't know, anywhere as far north as I could and just said I'm going to make an emo shochu and sell it. It sounds like it's more that it's just difficult to do that the farther north you go, as opposed to the legality of it.
Right.
You could make it, but you couldn't call it Satsuma shochu, for example. Or you could make kokuto shochu, but you wouldn't be able to call it amami kokuto shochu. Or you could make rice shochu with black rice, but the fact that you're not distilling it in Okinawa, you can't call it Gyukyu Awamori.
Would it still be considered a premium grade shochu if it's made as such, or would you have to call it that? I can't remember the name, but that bottom shelf style of shochu. Anyway,
The honkaku style.
Yeah,
the honkaku style. It just there's a couple of rules. You have to use koji, and it has to only be distilled once.
Right.
So that's why shochu is actually so special, and it's insane that it is so little known, and it's actually so cheap considering how much craftsmanship goes in these bottles. It's because it's like you're getting it's only been distilled once, and so it's just you're getting like the real, like the minerals and the distillate is just going to come through so much more. It's
Right.
pretty insane, and then I'm going to try to bring in an unfiltered shochu at some point, but I mean, it is crazy how much they could filter these as well, considering it's only been distilled once. But yeah, it has to be only distilled once, has to use Koji, and what else? There was something else as well, and I'm not remembering it. But and yeah, Yoko just says, versus the korui shochu. So honkaku shochu is the distilled once, has to be used with Koji. Korui, on the other hand, is another style of shochu, which is multiple distilled. So it's a little bit more like vodka, and you just keep distilling it until you can't really taste what it is anyway.
Seen that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I mean, back to your geographical question too. I mean, I think that we're seeing a lot of Japanese whiskey distilleries kind of opening up in areas where it is mimicking kind of Scotland's Islay geography, really close, like really north, Hokkaido, where it gets really cold, but really like right next to the sea. We're also getting in some whiskeys that are like all the way down in Kagoshima, and that's also down in the sea, and it gets really cold and then really hot. And so, a lot of these distilleries are popping up in Japan too, very much based on geography, and I mean, Yoichi, the Nikka Taketsuru, the Yoichi distillery, he built that, almost 100 years ago to be like Scotland. And it was just like, he considered that that area in Hokkaido mimicked the Islay the geography almost completely. And so if you've been there, it's like kind of seaside, but it gets super cold. I thought that it was, really interesting that they're making a whiskey in Japan to mimic a Scottish whiskey.
Right. Cool.
Okay, well, we can start making cocktails. Let me go downstairs real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, so while Kayoko goes behind the bar, any other thoughts? You guys all doing okay? You have a good New Year's?
Yeah,
Good. Do you guys have the cocktail ingredients? Who has like the cocktail ingredients? Have they made them? Yeah.
I tried to make mochi for the new year, but
Uh-huh.
I used I didn't have enough mochi call, and I was too lazy to use rice.
Yes.
I was using a Thai flour, but I read the label wrong and was using a non-glutinous flour.
Yeah.
So they end up real dusty, and I just kind of threw them away.
Oh no.
It was a mistake.
Well, yeah. Next time. For next time.
Yeah,
you'll-
I got a recipe.
Yeah.
I got a recipe
Cool.
from my employee whose mom gave her the family recipe, so I'm going to use that next time.
Good. Okay, I am going to switch the camera to Kayoko. She is magically now behind the bar. Let's get you, oops, gotta turn the camera on. All right, there she is.
Nice.
Wow, fancy.
Yeah, good image quality for sure.
Yeah, we got this cam link thing to like go onto my DSLR, and it's all like fancy and snazzy. Yeah.
I thought that it'd be fun to kind of do a cocktail demonstration. I hope that some of you have stuff to make the cocktails. So let's start with the Koji Martini. I think that this is a very nice, subtle, yet it's higher proof, and so I think that it kind of comes out more in the martini. I love making martinis, and I use all sorts of base spirits and vermouth. Sometimes I'll make sake teeny as well, and use sake instead of vermouth. So this one is 2 ounces of the Koji and then 0.5 of the Dolan Dry. So kind of just jigger this in here, 2 ounces. And then if any of you have any questions about cocktails, go ahead and let me know. I'm gonna put some ice in here, a lot of ice. So when you're stirring, right before you stir the cocktail, you wanna use a lot of ice. I always put, you wanna put in the ice after.
Wait, that's 2 ounces of both?
No, it's 2 ounces of the Kogin, 0.5.
And then 0.5 of the vermouth
Yep,
or the drambuie or whatever?
no, the vermouth. So this is the martini with the vermouth. And then
Got it,
the other one. Okay, so the way that I do it, you don't want to dilute it too much into the stirring glass. You're going to want to put all of the alcohol in first and then the ice. Okay, and this is very simple. I didn't even put bitters into it. I didn't want to overpower the shochu. And so, and it's quite delicate, so you don't want to stir it for too long. So I say, 10 to 15 seconds. But you also have to know your ice too. So you have melty ice, then you're gonna want to stir it for shorter. And you got your strainer, and then straining it into a coupe glass. And then some lemon peel. I think a olive is also good here. I do both actually. So just kind of express the lemon over, but don't put the peel in because that overpowers the whole thing and it just makes it way too citrusy. So you just throw away the peel. And that is the Kogin Martini.
Yay!
What do you guys think? Did you make it, or I know Jen made it. Jen really liked it.
Cheers.
That's really fun. I like that.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Interesting.
I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Did you use an olive or what?
No, I just expressed the lemon in there, but you can totally put an olive in it too. Yeah, it's nice, right? I think I can stir it for too long. Bye. Happy hour. Happy New Year.
Skål.
Skål!
Woo.
It's kind of gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this vermouth. This dried vermouth is very nice. I find that it's not too overpowering. You could also just use martini and Rossi. They also have the little bottles which is easy to store. And another thing about vermouth is that you want to put it in the refrigerator. Don't keep it out and like let it collect dust like your grandma. Okay, so the next one is super easy. It's just 2 ingredients and ice in a glass. I don't know, have you all had a rusty nail before? Which is drambuie and Scotch whiskey, and that's sort of a classic cocktail. Drambuie is a Scotch liqueur with honey, and so I paired it with this. I thought it worked really well, and it was kind of good for the holidays. I thought it was kind of cinnamony, and it's very sweet, so it's good for a dessert as well. But it's quite delicious. So this one is, what did I say? It's just 2 ounces of the akarui noso. and 0.25 of the drambuie, so a very small touch of the drambuie. But the drambuie is very sweet, so you don't want to put in too much. But it's really up to you. You can totally play around with the ratios. Just stir it around a little bit. Just mix it. And that's it. So it's a little bit easier than the martini and you need less tools, but
Oh, oops, sorry.
Hey, sorry, that was 2 ounces and 0.5 again?
yeah,
0.25.
0.25. 2 ounces and 0.25.
Got it.
For people who like it sweeter, then you can go ahead and make
This one's empty.
And why drambuie?
I just thought that it was, something kind of different, and it was good for the holidays. I thought it was sort of festive for people making cocktails at home. But
It's not like an ingredient that you'd have like lying around the house, you know?
What?
Do you use it for anything else?
No, drambuie is. I did have it lying around the house because I love rusty nails, but I make it so seldomly that it was kind of a good another use for it.
Nice.
There's not really any cocktail recipes out there that use drambuie, but I think it's super underrated. It's so good. It's very adult, I think, this one.
No garnish or what?
No garnish.
I can just buy it at like a liquor store
Yep.
or like, okay,
Yeah, right.
cool.
Yeah, I like this one. Yeah, I do. It's like sweet potato pie.
Sweet potato pie.
But a little like licoricey too.
Like anise.
I've been making a lot of cocktails with absinthe, but every time I put any shochu with absinthe, it's just gone. It gets overpowered.
Yeah, but it would have to be like Nishino Iwaku. Then that would be totally mottainai, waste. Yeah.
Cool. I messed the first drink up, dude. I just put the drambuie and then the vermouth together. So I just fixed it up now. With, what is it? Akarui no son and the drambuie.
Nice.
Good.
I tasted it and I was like, what is that? Like, that is a bad combination, yo. Sorry. But yeah, it's better now. It's better. Got it. It's a little sweet and kind of smoky-ish from the emo.
Uh-oh.
Anybody else making cocktails or liking this one?
I really like both. I like the contrast too. Like the first one was very kind of like austere, and this one's like, I mean, it has that weightiness. It's like spiced and a little smoky, like Keisuke said.
That drambuie's sweet though, huh?
Yeah, the drambuie is very sweet. Yeah, it's honey.
Yeah, I love both of them. And it's a good contrast for sure.
Yeah. I think with food, it would work really well. Some snacks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Some salty snacks.
Otsumami.
Ooh.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to inspire
Don't
you
have the right glass, so.
because it's a really good low ABV option as well.
Mm.
It's only like 23%.
potato chips and sour cream or something.
With some caviar. Get that
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there. That's a match.
Yeah.
This is, you know what, I think I put too much vermouth in the martini. It's like, it is very sensitive, this shochu. Because now I'm just getting vermouth.
I was just gonna say that I only made the first one, but I feel like I put too much of the vermouth in.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe dial it down to 0.25 ounces. Oh, and
But I
actually,
wasn't very precise
Ian-
with my pour. So
Ian likes using this with this and soda. I don't know if you all have the Hibis School. We sold it for a hot minute, but it was just so popular. And I think many of you do have this at home.
I might have it.
I know.
I might have it.
I think I have like over the time of quarantine, I think I've had like 4 bottles. I have 1 right now.
Oh.
I love it.
So yeah, this Hibis School is very weird. It's Hibis is a citrus from Kyushu, and this is crazy.
It's native to just Miyazaki. It's like only found in Miyazaki.
And anyway, Ian, what is it?
Uh,
I'm gonna read here.
Yeah, it's 2 ounces of the Akarui no San, 1 ounce of the Hibisco, like over some ice, stir it up in a highball glass, and then just top it up with club soda, and it's really good. It's very good. In a pinch, I also use the sudachi too. That's kind of like a gnarly. That's pretty gnarly drink. There.
it's weird. It's good, but it's a strange taste. Like I just
The
wanna
Hibis,
I want to take the bottle and just repurpose it as an ashtray or something like that. Like the bottle itself is like so king.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Molded glass.
it looks like a Parliament cigarette carton or something.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
finding Hibis was at Family Mart, I think, or Daily Yamazaki in Osaka.
Wow.
And so when I was in Osaka, I was like, oh, I can get Hibis from the kombini.
Nice. So cool. The best school.
So funny.
Yeah, so it's actually, it's sweet potato shochu infused with Hibis, which is the exotic citrus. But yeah, another way to drink these shochus, or at least this one, is just with soda with a splash of lime. And that's really delicious too. And so drinking shochu with soda has actually also been very popular. If you want something a little bit different.
How would you order that? Would you, if you were in Japan, would you just say like imo shochu soda?
Yeah, soda wari.
Yeah.
Or shochu highball, I guess you could even say, but not really, right? Soda wari.
Mhm.
Yeah, awesome.
Great. Yeah, and Rana says, parting note, superficial, but I love the Kogi no Sasayaki packaging, that each label will be uniquely ripped. That is nice to think about. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was trying to be delicate about it. I'm like, oh, I can peel the paper wrapper off. I'm like, oh no, you have to rip it.
Oh, nappy on the left.
Yes, there's a joy in that.
Like one and done.
Yeah,
That was the experience.
I use the wine key and literally just, as if you would
Mm.
oil, I just.
We're all artists now. Right? 'Cause we have
Yeah.
our different.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
I'm
Bye.
gonna get cool now.
Yes.
I'm planning another shochu event with Christopher Pellegrini, so stay tuned.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks for hosting. Cheers.
Yeah.
Kanpai. See you later.
Mata.
Bye.
Chin chin.
Otsukare.